Good afternoon. My name is Jeffrey Slavin. I have the honor and privilege of being the mayor here, but also I have a new assignment. I am the vice sales manager for the Somerset Town flag under the tutelage of George Schlossberg, who is consort to Councilmember Barbara Zeughauser. So if you want to buy a beautiful flag, I hope you will do so today. But we're gathered for this beautiful ceremony to dedicate our rainscape. And before I call people up here, I do want to recognize our extraordinary council president, Marnie Shaw, who really put this all together today with the help of Councilmember Barbara Zeughauser. I'm really big on making sure her name is pronounced appropriately. And I also see Councilmember Barbara Condos, right? Where? There you are. Okay, good. Wonderful. So, the first thing we're going to do is hear from, we have two town committees that were very engaged in this project. And one of them is the Environment Committee, chaired by Robin Barr. The other is the Parks and Natural Resources Committee, chaired by Patty Friedman.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I'm Robin Barr again. I'm chair of the Environment Committee. And how did this all happen? Well, it started with the tennis courts, actually. And there was a little problem to the tennis players, which was flooding of the tennis courts. Now, in the Environmental Committee, we called that natural stormwater retention ponds, and we're not quite so worried as the tennis players were, but they worried and decided, therefore, something had to be done to remove the flooding tendencies of the tennis courts. So the town invested in the money and the water disappeared. But that's the point. It was pushed away from the courts. It wasn't retained anywhere else. And that, in fact, was the way things used to be done with stormwater. Get it away from here. Send it on down. What you're doing there is you're removing the problem on your property, on the tennis courts, and literally creating a problem downstream. So all it does is move the problem on to the next place. For close to 30 years now, there's been a whole movement in case in federal law and state law and also in our county saying, try to manage storm water on your property. Try to use the water that falls on your property. And so when we heard this, Patty and I said, wait a moment. We need to, if we're the town, recognize that there is a responsibility in the town to save that water, protect the water, recover some of the water, rather than push it all away. And that's how this all started. Now, Patty's going to go on from there, but I have to advertise the Environmental Committee. I was told to. So here is a 30-second commercial for the Environmental Committee. We are the Environmental Committee. Yay! All right, okay. Yay! And we do stormwater, of course. But we also do street lights, and we're very active on street lights at the moment. Marnie has been particularly active for us in street lights. We do refuse, compost. We're trying to stop us putting stuff in the landfill and get down that way. That's what we do. We are very concerned with energy efficiency in the town too, and we had a great energy efficiency seminar last January. And one other area that we're pushing is actually the environment in our yards. And, you know, our yards are not actually carpets that turn green in spring. They are teeming with life that if we can use our imagination, we can make those yards true sources of environmental enrichment. We can make them work for us, retaining stormwater, in fact, conquering global warming, introducing birds and bees. So that's what our Environmental Committee does. We meet every second month, first Wednesday, 8 o'clock in the town hall. I'm always looking for new people to join us. That's the commercial. It's finished. Patty.
Plants. And they're all different sources. And in fact, the Rainscape folks are here with books that we have for free that have native plants, you know, and how to use them and how to use them in your own gardens. As the parks, for free. The Parks and Natural Resource Committee deals with all the town public land, gardens, as well as the town trees and the 17 acres of woodland that we have. And we are trying to get rid of the invasive species in the woodlands. So I'm a certified weed warrior, and there's others in the town, so we try and get rid of ivy and bamboo and garlic mustard. Overlaps a lot with Little Falls Alliance, and Sarah Morris is here. They do that as well, and throughout the county and Little Falls watershed. And then we, as a committee, have encouraged the town now. In fact, it's a law. We don't use pesticides on town land, and we would really love it if people didn't use pesticides on their property as well, because the pesticides kill the good insects that the birds need to feed. So we're really hoping that we can convince people not to use pesticides on their lands. And the town now is planting native trees only as part of their treescape. We've been a tree city for a long time, but we're really committed to these ideals. So that's...
Thank you.
So quickly that it's almost dry. So we plant with plants that are adapted from river edges, where they are used to spring rains and then summer drought. And that's what a lot of these plants are in the garden. Thank you again, and happy to talk with anyone afterwards about the construction of a rain garden and what we're doing here.
I want to turn the mic over to our distinguished Council President, Marnie Shaw.
Thanks, Jeffrey. I want to add my welcome to everybody who's here from the town and to some of our invited guests. I'm thrilled that they were able to join us today because I think it is a testimony to the importance of the kind of thing we're trying to do here in Somerset, that organizations that support this kind of thing recognize that we're trying to do our best to help the environment. So the first person, I'm doing this in alphabetical order, that I want to introduce is Ann English, who's the Montgomery County Program Manager for the Rainscapes Program. As many of you know, the Rainscapes Program is a rewards program that can work with residents on installing rain gardens, rain barrels, conservation gardens, and so on. A number of people in town have actually worked with the Rainscapes Program, and I'm one of them. So thank you very much, Ann.
Well, it's a beautiful day to be close to a garden, so that means it's a good day. We say a lot of different things in Rainscapes. One is clean water starts at home, and we really encourage people, if you haven't already started either collecting rain or if you're going to redo your driveway, we have rebates. We have our new sign, which kind of maps out where you can see on your own property. Go back home and imagine, and then don't get overwhelmed by the scope of it. Choose one thing and get started. And we're a very experienced group. We have, at this point, adequate funding from council, which we're always appreciative of. It comes from the operating budget, county council, and it comes, our program is funded through the Water Quality Protection Charge. And once you put in a project, then you can actually apply for a credit, which will reduce that fee. So it's a win-win, one incentive to install, one incentive to maintain. And I'm here to answer any questions. I'm very happy to see this garden go in and commend the community for doing it.
I want to introduce Mike Hunninghake, who's back here. Mike is the program director for Sustainable Maryland. Sustainable Maryland is a certification program for municipalities in Maryland that want to go green, save money, and take steps to sustain their quality of life over the long term. It's a collaborative effort between the Environmental Finance Center at the University of Maryland and the Maryland Municipal League. Thank you for joining us, Mike.
On behalf of the Sustainable Maryland program, I want to commend the town and the Environment Committee for this marvelous project and all the other very cool sustainability projects that you folks have been doing over the years. We hope to see an application for certification sometime soon. And if anybody's here from another municipality that is interested in participating in the program, feel free to chat with me later. Thanks.
Patty mentioned that Sarah Morris is here. Sarah's one of our residents, but she's also the executive director of the Little Falls Watershed Alliance, which is working hard to maintain and improve the fragile environment around our watershed here in the lower part of Montgomery County. I happened yesterday to be over at Little Falls Library and was able to see the activities there, but also the new rain garden that was put in right at the corner of Little Falls and Massachusetts Avenue. I really recommend going over and seeing it. Thanks, Sarah.
I'm Sarah Morris. You guys know me as a moderator of the listserv, but I'm also executive director of Little Falls Watershed Alliance. We've been in existence 10 years, and we're a stewardship group for this environmental region. And I actually got started on the town environment committee and working with we call it Somerset Stream, but the real name of the Somerset Stream is Little Falls Branch. And branch is just a word for stream, like muddy branch, paint branch. All right, so we do a lot of activities. I'm sure you've seen me announce it, but I'm really proud to announce that on Saturday, June 2nd, we're going to be hosting Home Tree Care 101, and that's a program done by the Montgomery Conservation Montgomery, where we will be walking through this neighborhood and looking at trees and discussing what kind of care they need. As the director of that program said, Somerset takes really good care of its trees. But we'll be they have an arborist that comes to it, and they'll be discussing mulching and pruning. And if you have tree questions, we can go to your house and he'll answer the questions. He can talk about the ash borer. And that's going to be at 10 o'clock on Saturday, June 2nd. And we're going to meet at the big beech tree at the top of Dorset Hill in that little park. We just opened the rain garden at Little Falls Library yesterday, as Marnie said. It was a great event. And I also want to push Ann English in her program. So one of the things that we do is habitat restoration. And as Patty says, native plants are really important. And if you were in a really pure woodland scene with no non-native invasives, you would see a lot of wildflowers right now. But as you walk through our parks and stuff, you don't see any wildflowers. And that's really because they've been squeezed out by the non-native invasives. A lot of work that we do is habitat restoration, removing those invasives and planting meadows. But you can do that right on your own lawns. And we challenge people to just take 10% of their lawn and garden and plant it in natives. And why natives? They also talk about the root structure, but the real reason for natives is our native pollinators don't go out for Chinese. They don't eat non-natives. So that's why people like non-natives. Nothing eats them. They're in your garden. They look good all the time. If you have a beautiful crepe myrtle, look at the leaves. You've never seen an insect eat them. So that means that those insects aren't eating them, and we're losing pollinators and songbirds. So that's my challenge. And Anne has on her table lists of natives that do good in sun and in shade. They're really great sheets. Just pick them up, plant a couple of those, and do your bit. Thank you. And hopefully we'll see people for the Home Care Tree Care 101. It's on our website, lfwa.org.
We greatly appreciate the town's partnership with the Little Falls Watershed Alliance. I'm a proud member, and I hope that all of you will join. And go. What's your website?
Little Falls Watershed Alliance, lfwa.org.
Okay, great. And Sarah's the founder and executive director, correct?
Introduce Ling Tan, who's here from the Sierra Club. Everybody knows the Sierra Club is our major environmental grassroots organization in the country. I think today Ling is particularly bringing material about pesticide-free yards and also pesticide-free control, which is something people in our neighborhood particularly care about.
I'm Ling Tan with Sierra Club Maryland. We have a Montgomery County chapter, but we have the pesticide-free yards campaign, and that it supports residents that want to go pesticide-free in their yard. So we have information to help you do that, and we also have Be Safe Yards and pesticide-free yard signs available.
Oh, I see that our distinguished Attorney General, Brian Frosch. So can you just make a few remarks?
Thank you to everybody who's been involved in this project. This is just a wonderful thing to do. It looks like it's very successful in holding the water already. And, you know, it's beautiful. It is going to conserve water, conserve the landscape, be a habitat for native animals and birds. And it's just a wonderful thing to do. So thanks for everybody who's been involved.
Thank you for coming.